there guys, this is Robin Hood, and today I'm going to be bringing you all a 1 versus 1 battle replay in Total War Rome 2. Attila has been out for a little while. I played a little bit of the multiplayer in that, but right now it's not very enjoyable to me. The heavy cavalry in the game definitely needs to be balanced. Cavalry pretty much destroys anything, and there aren't that much variations in the army builds. You pretty much see one type of setup. So I jumped into Rome 2, which at this point in its life I don't believe it's going to get any more patches, and the multiplayer is decently balanced. You can mess around with some different builds and actually have good results in this game. So for this battle, I am actually going to be playing as Rome. My opponent, Sebastian Mark, is going to be playing as Egypt. And I brought a fairly balanced build in this battle, if you take a look at it here. Up front, I have 2 auxiliary infantry. These are my spearmen, and they are up front just to ward off any frontal cavalry charges at the beginning. You know, that's not a very common thing, but just to protect my archers and also suck up any enemy missile fire. So they're to help in the skirmish. I'm going to kind of push them in front and try to get my opponent to shoot at them rather than my archers. And then for my main infantry line, I believe I have 5 or 4 legionary cohort. It looks like I brought 4. I have 2 of them on either side of my center unit, which is a Praetorian unit. And I put these guys in the center because they have an area of influence that is going to give the units around them better morale. So having them right in the center is going to help kind of hold my whole line. And then on either flank behind my line, I have a Hastati unit. And these guys, I'm not putting them on the flank so my opponent doesn't immediately engage them. This is going to allow me to kind of maneuver them, or at least that is the plan, around my opponent. Then I just have a general's bodyguard. Now on my right flank for my cavalry, I have 2 Soki Equites. These are my shock cavalry, and the reason I place them over there is because this is the flank that my opponent has his cavalry on. And then my far left, I have 3 auxiliary infantry, and this is the majority of my cavalry force here. So I'm going to slow this down for a moment to look at my opponent's army. Up front, he has, I believe, 4 thorax swordsmen. On either side of them there is a Thurio spear unit, and then behind that he has royal thorax swordsmen, and these guys are the main sword, you know, power in his army. These 2 units of royal thorax swords, though they're not that much better than the actual thorax swordsmen. They just have the area of influence, and also they use the whip ability, so it makes them a little bit more potent. For his skirmishing, he has 2 mercenary Cretan archers, and then his general is a Hellenic royal guard. And then for cavalry, he has 2 citizen cavalry. These guys, as long as I get a good charge, will not stand a chance against my Soki Equites. And then he has an African war elephant. So my army being mostly swords, I know the main thing I have to do, the actual infantry combat's going to be decently even for a while. These thorax swords are tough units, and they'll be able to hold out for a little bit. My legionary cohort is by far a better unit, but you know, the thorax swordsmen definitely can hold their own, and all he needs is for them to hold for a little bit for this elephant to get in behind my lines, or even just straight into any of my sword units, and that's what he wants to do. So what I'm doing, I notice that he's firing at my auxiliary infantry here, and you can see the arrows raining in on them, a few of those guys getting shot down, but that doesn't really matter to me. That's what this unit was here for. And then over here, I'm going to bring my auxiliary infantry forward. These guys are going to try to brace against an elephant charge, and I've put all of my auxiliary Syrian archers over here. I'm going to try to take down these elephants first, because my Roman soldiers have very good armor, and for the moment, missile fire is not really going to hurt them, especially from the front with, you know, these giant tower shields. Their shield strength is very, very good. So what I did here is I actually charged my auxiliary Syrian infantry in to these thorax swords. That's just to kind of disrupt them for a moment. He's trying to take some shots at my generals, so I'm going to pull him back, and then the actual infantry engagement is going to begin. So here my Praetorians are going to charge into these royal thorax swords, and that is going to be a fight they easily win. Now what I did over here with my archers, I put flaming shot on these elephants to make them go out of control there, and now I am firing heavy shot, and the 3 auxiliary Syrian archers with heavy shot are actually going to take down these war elephants very quickly. I am losing an auxiliary cavalry. That was just to hold those guys in place. My other 2 auxiliary cav units are going around the flank, and back here I am getting good charges with my Soki Equites, and here comes another one right on the flank of this unit, and that is going to cause a lot of damage to these guys. So this cavalry fight's going to go in my favor. To stop these Thurio spears from getting into that cav fight, I have charged in my Hastati, and then along the main infantry line we've got the legionary cohorts, and these Royal Thorax swords are doing a good job against them for the moment. You can see all the infantry combat in here. My Praetorians making very short work of this Thorax swordsman. And then with my 2 free auxiliary cavalry units, I'm just going to be cycle charging into the rear of these Thorax swords, trying to rout them. Over here I'm getting my spears into the back, and my Praetorians have broken through here. So we're going to zoom in on them for the second. I believe they're going to now charge into the rear of this Thorax sword unit. There's my men, and throwing their pylum. Look at that. That is going to cut down a ton of those guys here, and now the rear charge from the Praetorians is going to finish this unit very quickly here. Get a good look at some of that action. Those men fighting it out. So I've now basically broken through the center. Over here, my auxiliary cavalry is fighting these Royal Thorax swords. Those were the units giving me the most troubles. Over here, I brought these Hastati. I broke them away from the Thurio spears and charged into the rear of the Royal Thorax swords because I noticed my legionary cohort was starting to have some trouble with them. So even though my Hastati are in turn going to get hit in the rear, these Thurio spears can't take them down that quickly, and we are now going to rout those Thorax swords. And over here, my cavalry is still engaged with the citizen cav, but my men are definitely getting the upper hand in that fight. We already routed one of them, and there's only this single unit left. And now, basically across the line, it is just the story of my cavalry doing rear charges, my Roman infantry being very tough, is going to hold out. This Royal Thorax sword unit actually managed to rout a unit of Hastati there, but at this point, there's not that much that can go on. Here, these Praetorians are going to engage this Hellenic Royal Guard, and I have used the whip on them. So these Hellenic Royal Guard, as you can see, their number is going to drop quickly. They really do not stand much of a chance against these Praetorians here. And that's pretty much going to be it, as my Praetorians cut through these guys. Also firing heavy shot into their flank. And across the battlefield, pretty much everyone has routed. Just the bodies of the dead there. So very good game to my opponent. I hope you all enjoyed that battle. Pretty much everything went the way I wanted it there. This Hastati unit got absolutely mauled by a Royal Thorax swordsman. That was this unit here with 196 kills. My archers actually did not do that much damage, but they did take out the elephant unit, which was key. That elephant only getting 21 kills made it nowhere near worth the cost that my opponent had to pay to bring that unit, so taking them out quickly was a big factor. And aside from that, his infantry just really did not match up to what I could bring. You could see all my main infantry here, the legionary cohorts, doing a very solid job. My Praetorians doing extremely well and adding that morale bonus. And then my cavalry doing decently. Again, I lost that cavalry unit with 0 kills, trying to stop that elephant unit. And that worked. So my opponent, he could have, he would have done a little better. I definitely had the cavalry advantage, so he would have had a hard time maneuvering but had he saved his elephants and maybe brought them into the middle, he might have stood a better chance. If he could have gotten those elephants into my Praetorians, that would have been interesting there. But overall, I feel like he would have had a hard time beating the army I brought with what he had, just because of the infantry superiority I had, as well as the cavalry. So really all I had to do was stop his elephants to actually pull out a successful battle there. But again, I hope you all enjoyed that, and I will be bringing you more gameplay soon. I have some Napoleon recorded and ready to go, as well as actually some Empire Total War. And then I might bring a little bit of Attila, especially once the multiplayer in that game starts getting patched up. But anyways, thank you all for watching. Subscribe for more if you haven't, and I will see you all next time.